draining. You see, you get headache. And let me tell you, yo, Uncle Ken. Good afternoon, sir. Good to see you.
Yes.
Oh, anytime I see my uncle, I mean, yeah.
I hope so.
So I was talking about these OPR people, publicists for artists, and how they write their scripts for publication. You know, sometimes, the construction, the use of some words, the whole communication is a problem.
And does that mean because of the issues that you've just raised, you don't get the import of what they're saying?
Sometimes it's difficult to understand what they're talking about.
I'm asking that because when you challenge them, that's what they will tell you, that English is not our mother.
No, ayo.
And so you understood what I was trying to say.
Yes.
And so as far as they're concerned, that's good enough. This is the problem. You were once a PRO for, what's that, Artwork?
Yes, I was once PR for Artwork.
And I suggested on this show that Artwork do what we call...
Training?
Yes, for those people, writers, bloggers, them kind of people, because I felt it was very essential that they did that.
They didn't come.
Because that's the only way they would have learnt. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, from what you are saying.
Yeah.
So that's why we are getting what we are getting.
Yes. Okay,
it's a shame.
Yeah, we get PR materials from other artists from outside the country.
Exactly.
And if you compare the quality of communication to what some of our people do right here, it's bad.
I love your Say It Loud series because you raise these issues.
Yes.
But then the question arises, will the people listen and do anything about
we
what
hope
you've
so.
raised? You can only raise them and hope that something's done.
Yeah.
But if people don't realize the help you are putting out there to them, what else can you do?
Well, Joy 99.7 FM, Showbiz A to Z. I have right here with me Uncle Ken Dadzie. Yeah, he's a veteran broadcaster. I need to add a veteran. I love that word.
Kwame,
he's a veteran broadcaster.
I have just spoken.
Yes, sir.
And you are now coming to introduce me.
No, I'm
saying
I'm reiterating. People should know Uncle is right here. You know how people love Uncle Ken.
It's good to see you guys.
Yes, sir.
I was away last week. A niece of mine had a wedding last week.
Oh, that's good.
And I was so proud of her.
Congratulations.
Yes, and I was a busuapenying at the event.
Awesome.
So, and I felt so good.
Do you have some more?
Some more?
I'm asking for a friend.
You mean, do I have some more nieces?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Once upon a time, they were very prominent on this show.
Okay.
Because they were fancy, free, and loose at the time. But now, most of them have gotten themselves into, partnerships and stuff like that. So they have others.
But there are others who are yet to get themselves
and
into
there are others,
partners.
So if you're... No, but you are married. So.
Oh, not me. I'm asking for
your friend.
My friends.
Ah, okay.
Uncle Ken. Beat Menace.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you.
Is he married?
Good to see you too.
Beat
Who?
Menace.
Me?
Beat Menace.
Yeah,
I've been married for 11 years.
That's good.
I'm a veteran.
But he wouldn't mind.
No, he would mind.
No, if you give him some.
I would mind.
Some Malta Guinness to drink. That's what I wanted to say.
But it's African culture. Uncle Ken.
I would mind. I like Beat Menace very much. That's why I posed the question whether he was married or not. But once it was answered, I'm okay.
Yeah.
He can stay married.
Joy 99.7 FM, and we're here to have a big conversation. Also, right here with us in the studio is this man.
in the building.
Yo, oh, my baskakra.
Baskakra.
Yanko.
Hey yo, my feel so by a few roses. My feel to say Pukoko a few Moses. My feel says Saboni a few disco. My feel to say R&B a few Cisco. My feel said the Empafi mattress. My feel to say Jaco a few Nkrumah dress. To say Arsenal a few Adebayo. My feel said the Big Joe Fraser a few Ayo. My feel also for a few the Bible. My feel to say Paul a few the disciple. Joy, money min chaya mi chenchene. My feel to say the Kobe a few enchene. My film would say tie afi shirt. My film would say big hips afi mini skirt. Yeah.
Big Joe Fraser.
Yeah, bro.
No, how do you come by these rhyme patterns?
Yes, it's a talent thing. I mean, sometimes you can't understand God. I mean, rhymes are part of me now. Rap without rhymes it's like rice without stew. So always when I'm rapping, I feel like putting some rhymes, not just rhymes, better rhymes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's entertainment. Once you are entertaining the people, you still need to put some sense in it, educate them. Yes. So it's I started with these things, and it's now part of me. Joe Fraser cannot rap without rhymes. Yeah, because he said they were born. Who's that?
Raps the beat.
Who's that? Sure.
My God.
Kwame.
Yes, sir.
But why were you and your producer so
happy,
excited at the last thing he said?
I'm kind. Which one is that? Can you mention it?
I think he said. I hope I get it right. I hope I get it right.
The mini skirt part.
Yes, I think he said hips happy mini skirt.
Yes.
And then you and your producer went. Hey!
Oh, that's something nice. That's something nice to behold. And Uncle Ken, you know about this, right? Yeah. Uncle Ken, you know about this, right?
I don't. I've never met him, you know.
Oh wow.
Yes, this is the first time I've met him.
Wow.
But I've seen him, listened to him on other networks.
Okay.
I think he knows what he's about. It's nice seeing you.
Same here, bro. Same here, big man.
Joe Fraser, how has the journey been so far?
Yes, I mean, it has not been easy. I mean, a whole lot of challenges. I mean, it's not easy to get to this stage in the music game.
Yeah.
But God has been so good to us. I mean, I believe in hard work. I mean, if you are passionate about what you are doing, you put in, I mean, your whole energy, your whole zeal.
Yeah.
Yes, and then with prayers and yes, you definitely get there, even though it's I mean, some way there are ups and downs, which is normal in life.
Great.
Yes, but God's grace, we are still here doing good music, attending to other businesses. Yes, yeah. So it has not been easy. Yeah. Yes, but we are still here.
Which year did you get into the music industry?
Your
first entry.
That's quite a long time ago, bro. I think it's about somewhere 2000. Okay. I was a kid by then. Yes, and I had a chance to enroll with Sleep Music. I mean, entertainment.
Okay.
So Kumante was my first producer.
Wow.
So you can imagine working with Kumante. I mean, definitely because him alone is like about 50 people listening to your music. Yeah. Because before Kriku will pinpoint to you that, bro, Charlie, come go to the studio. That means he has seen something extraordinary in you. Yeah. Yes. And then when I was working with them, Sleep Music, I mean, he was having about 40 musicians. That's Ibrahim Amina, Nana Kwame, Lokenya, Achame, Felix Bell, Adani Best, a whole lot of, I mean, there were a whole lot of musicians. So you can imagine Joe Fraser, no one knowing me at that time. I mean, it wasn't that easy, but I was feeling proud. I mean, mingling with this kind of musicians. I mean, you've been working with Okreku Manti Krampono, your plus. Yes, for Okreku to, I mean, accept you and record you. I mean, Utimi or the so I say, yes. So I mean, I think that was somewhere 2000.
Wow.
Yes, 2000. Yes.
Do you remember the very first show you played?
Very first, yes, I remember.
Where was that?
Kumasi. That was a grow as to try.
Okay.
Yes, that was my first performance. Yes, and that was my first time coming on TV as well.
How did you feel?
Hey, just a meeting my TV so.
Did you tell your family members to tune in and watch? You didn't know, yeah?
Yes, my late dad was a presiding elder at the Church of Pentecost.
Okay.
And then doing this rap thing, I was kind of, let me hide it from him.
Ooh.
Yes. So, yes, when my first single came, Atufi was everywhere. Until I came on TV, and also Grow was a live program.
Yeah, it was.
Yes,
it was,
so they were he and my mom they were watching me. It's me drew because you now boss I'm sit down. So I sat down with him. He was like, Charlie, or up here at the pub, but we have good speed. Me and 2 West, and I was okay.
He loved it.
Yes, thank you, Dad. So I mean, Saturday night,
were you paid for that gig?
I remember, yes, I was paid, but it wasn't that huge amount of money. Yes, because that time I wasn't that popular.
Okay.
Yes, and then there is always a first time. That was my first time coming on TV.
Sure.
So, yeah, I grew up to try. I mean, David Donto was the host at the time. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Yeah, I can't remember I was paid, but it wasn't that huge amount of money. Yeah.
Good start.
Exactly.
But at the time you came into the scene, there were other genres. We had Hiplife, what they called contemporary Hiplife.
Sure.
Why did you choose Hiplife and not that genre?
You see, we are hip hop guys. I mean, we're coming all the way from the streets. I mean, along the line, I was doing this copyright thing when I was in school.
Yeah.
I mean, be a band Christian rap, you know. Along the line, I heard Reggie Rackstone, the likes of Reggie Rackstones, the Locanias, the Achames, the Sydneys, Nananom. I mean, the Sasquatch. Yes, using this local dialect.
Yeah.
I mean, doing good music. So I was like, then I'm wasting my time doing this copyright thing. Then let me start composing my own lyrics.
Okay.
Yes. So that was when I started composing my own lyrics. And then this guy was my role model, Busta Rhymes.
Oh.
He rhymes a lot. So I picked the parts of him. The rhymes line.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was like, rhymes they do. Then let me stick to it. But we have light rhymes and we have deep rhymes.
Okay.
The quality one. Yes. When I'm rhyming, I want people to feel that this guy he thought about it. How Jane Baby or Raki in the brain. He suffered before coming out with these kind of lyrics. Yes, and see, it wasn't that easy for me because I wanted to be unique. I wanted to, break through. Yeah. So I was learning, and then look at Okre Kumante. It was like, Joe, you rhyme a lot. Your voice is very good. Work hard on these angles, and it will help you. Yes. So here I am. Even though it wasn't that easy for me, but as I said earlier, God has been so good.
Good.
Yes. We are still here doing good music. Making some money and other stuff. Yeah.
You keep saying it hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
It hasn't been easy.
Sure.
What were the challenges you faced?
You see, at that time, rapping in Chi would be a crap because what about them? Because yes, a lot of people were keeping saying that, hey, I don't want them and why this kind of, because Hiplife wasn't that popular. It was a one-way thing. Kenya mo penani eto mo can Rackstone more, and almost they were up there. You were coming. A fresh guy. Coming into the game. Nipanti was coming all the way from Kumasi. That's what I say. So it was very difficult. For me to penetrate, because sometimes you even come to Accra without having any place to sleep.
Wow.
With me, Abani Akachos, train 2 weeks time. Then you go to the studio. You need to have somewhere to sleep. Maybe I only is Kakra de Kumasi.
Oh.
Yes. So those were the challenges, and then challenges they keep on coming. Once we are still, living as human beings. The challenges, but it's not like before. What I say, that time it could be Timmy Jews can wait, Granny. It's a challenge. Oh yeah. So
who are those?
It's normal. When you go to, I'm talking about the business aspect of
Okay.
Yes, I'm not talking about the music.
Okay.
So it's a challenge too. So we are just Journey. So by Journey, who say I be Journey. What I say, how that's a challenge too. So what I say, it's there. It's not going to fade. Once it's live. It's a life thing. It's a lifetime thing. So yeah.
Which collaboration would you say was your biggest?
I think I done it best.
Okay.
Sanuka de Allah.
Okay.
Oh you, Baba. Sanuka de Allah. I think that song was so nice, and I like the way he sings.
Okay.
I done it best. And I was so happy for Kriku to tell me that Joe come and give some buzzes into the song.
Okay.
I was like, oh wow, thank you so much. So when I listened to the song, I was, hey, I done the best by anyway. That rap took me about 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Because I wanted to kill that rap. And I killed it as well. And also crappy jammy drew yes, it wasn't. And I hit it. I told her and I hit it. Actually, Okrekwe is a very, he has this kind of year. Or tinyum na a bear hit.
Okay.
And then you can imagine the mallet, behind you. Giving you the best of instrumentals, and see those times sleep music and you never for Kriku say me fa the mallet on whether you like it or not, you're gonna blow. And see, so here also sleep music was a hit, like Adani Best, Felix Bell, Lord Kenya, Joe Frazier, Nana Kwame. You see, name them. Sikaka Crowd, Dr. Mr. Solomon. Yes. You can't just come to sleep music and do a mess around. Definitely, you learn. You provide good music. Yes. So,
good one there.
Yes.
Good one there. Joe 99.7 FM 0551111997. We're talking Hiplife. Before that, we have Big Joe Fraser right here, and we're having a conversation about his career and how far he's come. I can sing the song, but the rap I can't do. Joe Fraser,
yeah,
this particular one, what did you say in the rap?
What I was saying in the
yes,
rap.
yes, we want to hear that.
So make a rap.
Make you rap, give me. No, we won't hear.
So make a rap.
Okay. Coach, you know how network. Yeah, mommy, ayo fro, Geneso. Quay so straight bonatnase. Who we can't nasi busana quine so. Yeah, mammy, my chair pay one hello. Can you know where any meal na me need do? Joe Fraser near Butrinko neka ayo. Walai, mene ya ni bew. We be se binya butre ye ni don't do. Ansa na mabomi don't do. Otimi bechem na medwani ko bechem. Ejapade bia me ne ya chem. Ya mame ade bi ha me wo ya ho. Na ho ofenti da na me bidi ekem. Ama me brebo sorry ana osre. Ade bi gu ya sisi ye frɛ no bansre. Se bi ho na me ti ai se bo frɛ. Ofi ma no ana me pray to set afre. Ya ntimi tu kwaya me ta afre. Ye bu no hu ti ompe afrefre. Aso makai yet me family na me sreka atwe me kai se my ready na me bo si ya bedi mpampai eni ko si ya mami afi na my ready.
It is the dondoro way I'm interested in.
Okay, any bansre no
enye dondo na boy enye dondo. Now when I was playing the song, Beats Menace and Uncle Ken were talking about the sound quality.
Yeah.
Let me come to you, Uncle Ken. When you compare the quality of sound of productions during those days to the ones we have now, what's the difference?
Kwame, you're right. I said to Beat and Joe, while the song was going, I just reminded them of the superb quality of production by Zap, you know, and Zap at that time held the sound for the Hiplifers in those days, you know. I chanced upon a conversation that you, Kwame Dadzie, had. Kwame, are you listening?
Yes.
I chanced upon a conversation that you, Kwame Dadzie, had on Facebook with some guys.
Okay.
About the originator of Hiplife, and somebody also reminded you to include Zap as an originator, but you insisted Zap was a contributor to the genre because you said that Zap never came out to tell the world that he was an originator.
Okay,
I was so interested in the conversation because it fell into the trap of today's show. So I had to. I woke up and I dawned, and I saw Kwame Dadzie is always in my face on Facebook with his posts. So I saw this post, and the issue was about some guy trying to let Kwame understand that Zap had to be put alongside Reggie
as a co-originator.
As the co-originator, because if Reggie produced the rap, it was Zap that had the sound to go along with the rap. So it was a very interesting conversation that I followed, throughout. And I liked all you people had a good reason to stick with what you thought should be the issue.
Yeah.
And the other guy,
and he was right, so he had a point.
Yes, he also had a point. So it was interesting conversation. But I must say that Zap Mallet at that time, check that. You see, you can't lie about quality of sound.
Sure.
Mark, and he kept mentioning Mark Okrekumante. Joe Fraser kept mentioning Mark Okrekumante. I met Mark Okrekumante when I came back from the UK, and he was a resident disc jockey at my friend's club in North Kaneshi. The club was the Balm Tavern. It was owned by Quantus, who later became my co-producer for. We had a label together, the Q&A. you know, producing Anaya Redu and them lot. Yes.
Okay.
So, Mark was the resident DJ at Bam Tavern. And the quality of sound that was played at that club back then, late 90s, you know, late 80s, getting into the 90s, and yes, it was all solid foreign quality music that was being played there. And so the quality of sound Mark learned from that club is what propelled him into being the sort of person that he describes him as, that he had an ear for quality sound. You must have an ear for the quality sound.
Sure.
And Mark does. So I was very happy he praised Mark for that.
Sure.
And if you compare the Hiplife that you played from Joe Frazier and the quality of production to, let's say, some of the stuff I hear today, I have a problem with the quality of sound that I hear today. And I don't know where the problem is. Beat them will be able to tell me where the problem is from.
Uncle Ken, you don't want this.
But the quality is not the same. Kwame, look at the way you and Philip and I were so excited at the quality of sound that you just played. It sounded so solid. And if you have an ear for music and you know quality, you would not subscribe to lesser quality.
Sure.
You won't. You won't subscribe to lesser quality because the quality of sound is important.
Sure.
Very important.
Very.
And I don't know, Beat might be the best person again.
Yeah.
Because he is with...
He deals with sound.
He has a cross between the old and the current.
Yeah.
Because he listened to a lot of the old.
Yeah.
And he did work with a lot of the old, even in his youth, you know. And so he would know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I don't know if it was because most of the sound back then was analog.
Possibly.
Rather than being the all digital thing that everything is worked out for you and you can press buttons and choose bits and pieces of what you want to use in a song. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is the quality from back then, you can't
Sure.
touch.
Exactly.
I mean, it's interesting. I totally agree to a large extent, and this is coming from someone who is relatively young. I grew up on a lot of old music. I am a big fan of a lot of the stuff that's happening right now. But I think the main disparity between the sound then and what we have now was the fact that, to a certain extent, a lot of practitioners in this space went through a system of apprenticeship and training. Okay, whether it was formal or informal, it counts a lot. Now, ironically, in as much as right now the dissemination of information is way more prevalent than it was back then because of accessible because of the internet. There's a certain immediacy that comes with being a creator. Okay, these days you don't even need a computer. You can make beats on a smartphone, right? But we need to realize that with near infinite possibilities also comes the challenge of knowing what to do and when to do it. Okay, we've seen people shoot amazing film or make amazing music on very rudimentary equipment, but that doesn't necessarily translate to quality. And I think to a large extent, because of the restrictions and the barriers that existed then, people had to play the long game. And you had to be a musician to a certain degree. which is why I often, in as much as beat makers can technically be considered producers, I make a big distinction between a beat maker and a record producer.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what you described, I had no idea you and Mr. Q actually go that far back, but he's someone I know very well, and I know you pretty well. And there's one thing I'll give to you guys. You guys know your music.
Yeah.
And in every structured music system anywhere around the world, there's a title of someone who works in a label known as an A&R or an artist in repertoire.
Artist and repertoire, yeah.
And these people or these personalities are handpicked because of their seasoned immersion and understanding of music and music history.
Sure.
And that's, I
mean, was artist and repertoire at City Rock.
That makes sense.
Okay.
For the duplication.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
And we had Sony Music supplying us with music.
I remember. I mean, most of my CDs that I bought, original CDs that I bought locally,
came from City Rock.
Came from City Rock.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it takes a certain level of training that only time and intentionality can give. Money can't buy.
Yeah.
You know, for you to develop such an ear. I mean, and the fact that he was actually a DJ back then speaks a lot about the quality of music you play.
Yes.
To be fair, for somebody who talks a lot about legacy and how we need to protect, you know, high life, you know, this is something I'm deeply passionate about, Kwame Dadzie. Let's not also over-romanticize that era, because there were a lot of corny music made also in the Hiplife era.
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
all right.
But we need to give flowers to the persons. Someone like Zap, I'm super excited that you mentioned Zap Mallet, because he's one of the key people who I feel is often left out in the conversation when it comes to Hiplife. When I saw Mr. Abraham Ohinijan on the poster, I was super excited.
He's on right now.
He's on right now. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
People like Panji. You can't talk about Hiplife and then keep some of these names out. It's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first saw the Reggie Rockstone video where he had a backpack, it was like a Jan Sport or something. You know, they wear shirt. He was walking at that Laboni Junction. These things that were shot by Mr. Abraham Ohinijan. That stuff just imprinted on my mind as a kid. And when I saw Mr. Joe Fraser today, I was super excited because he just took me way back. I had no idea he came, you know, he's a Kumasi guy. Because we're jamming to a lot of these songs when I was in high school.
Wow.
You know, and getting a chance to actually meet him in person and interact is very interesting, because for me it is very nostalgic. Now the music you played, man, big Zap. See how crisp, how clean. You see, when you create music digitally, you can easily fall into a trap because you have near infinite possibilities.
Exactly.
You can bring out a cello, you can bring out dondo drums, 808s, whatever. Wait about BBAB, and you create clutter. So it takes a certain level of mastery and seasoned experience to create music that is that timeless. And I think we need to give Zap Mallet his flowers, honestly.
Awesome. Joe 99.7 FM. Joe, I'll come back to you later, but let me also remind you that we have joining us Abraham Ohinijan, JQ, Root I, Reggie Rockstone will be joining us as well. But in the early 90s, a new music genre was born in Ghana. While some have said the name of the genre had earlier appeared in the newspapers, it was until 1996 that Ghanaians first heard the name Hiplife in a song titled Chobwe, which was released by Reggie Rockstone. Reggie Rockstone had been described as the originator of Hiplife. There are some that have contested his claim of originating the genre. Well, that's not the purpose of today's program, because to me, that argument has been overflogged, and I think we must forge ahead as a people and find ways of sustaining this particular legacy of Hiplife. But the reason for the contestation of Reggie's Hiplife originator claim is the fact that some musicians had done similar styles of music before he came to Ghana in 1994, but they had not named it Hiplife. I hope you remember Talking Drums, which comprised of Kwekuti and Abeku. Now, with the help of Panji Anov, they did productions that fused rap and highlife. For example, they sampled CK Man's Asafube song, the one he did with Papa Yans in the Carousel 7, for the song Adeng in 1993.
Tell me why, tell me why.
Horny P, and he released a song called Kofi Baboni in 1994. Hiplife became popular. There was also we had the Native Funk Lords. We had this group comprised of Tinikwe, Sil, Jake, Dead Buddy, Eddie Blee, and the rest. Yeah, and they did songs like this particular one.
Vote for me, make a chop president.
Venture that employed a lot of people. Today we are here to celebrate the gains we've made with Hiplife and possibly find ways of helping make the Hiplife legacy live on. And I'm here today with Uncle Ken. He's a veteran broadcaster. He's managed artists before. Yes, worked in the music space for a long time. Beat Menace is an audio engineer and the creative entrepreneur. And I also have joining us on Zoom, Abraham Ohenijan, CEO of OM Media. And he was, around from the beginning of everything, short videos. He told our story through his lenses, during those days till now. We'll be joined again by JQ, one of the producers that changed the face of the whole Hiplife game at a point in time. And then Reggie Rockstone, who is popularly known as the originator or the grandpapa of Hiplife. Now, when I was doing my research for this, I was a bit scared because there are so many accounts of the origination of Hiplife and all that. So I was being careful in attributing, accolades and all that. But today, I know so well we're going to have some education on this whole origination, if you like, and how far we can actually take Hiplife. Now, let's start in earnest. And I think we should go on Zoom now. Let me say hi to Abraham, who has joined us from the UK. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I hope you are doing well, AB.
I'm great. Thank you very much. I was rushing home to try and settle down, but unfortunately, At the time you gave me, I've had to stop and have to basically do this in the car. So
thank you so much.
I hope you don't mind.
Thank you so much. We don't mind at all. Thanks so much for giving it your time this afternoon here on Showbiz A to Z. Now, we are celebrating Hiplife. You are one of the iconic figures when it comes to this whole movement called Hiplife. At the point in time when the genre or the music type was created, was formed, did you have that kind of hope that it was going to grow into what we've had?
No, I don't really think any one person can say that they saw the future. We were a bunch of kids. I think I must have been 19, when I first came to the UK and I first came across Talking Drum in the studio with Panji. And there's a funny story about this beginning of Hiplife thing, and every time we talk about it, there's always an issue as to who originated. The thing is, if we're going to use the term Hiplife, write all the stories. One song made it popular, and that was Chobwe. In the lyrics of Chobwe is the word Hiplife. It's used and it popularized the then genre, which wasn't even defined at that time. So if we're going to look at it, we have to look at it from that point. It has to jump off from a certain point. And so, yes, you're right in attributing that to Reggie Rockstone. But I don't think any of us really realized where things were going. Music evolves naturally. And through every generation wants to create its own thing. And I think at that time, a new young generation wanted something different. And that's what we got. We got Hiplife.
There have been other accounts of people saying that prior to Reggie's mentioning Hiplife in Choboy, there had been reports in newspapers describing Talking Drums kind of music as a Hiplife as well. Did you chance on anything like that in the past?
Okay. Yeah, so I've been in the middle of this thing between my two brothers, Reggie and Panji. Every time I'm usually the referee. The thing is, I arrived in the summer of '93 to work for Tala Fatal. I was setting up on non-linear editing equipment for Tala Fatal. So I didn't even come here to get involved in the music industry or anything like that. I came here as a technician. I came to Ghana as a technician. And I didn't really take much notice. I know that Panafest had happened a year before and that groups existed. Kwame Dadzie was in a group called Taboo. There were lots of activities. I remember going to National Theatre to watch an event of young people on stage. I went to see Police Officer being the premiered at National Theatre. There was a lot that was going on, but I did not hear Hiplife. The first time I heard the word Hiplife was in Reggie's song. That's the first time I heard it. But I am aware that there were bits and bobs going on in different corners.
Let me go this way. Do you think maybe this confusion may stem from the fact that we hardly properly documented our stories?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of the time people say this, that we haven't documented. I mean, it's very difficult to get away from documentation these days. Internet didn't exist for Ghana at that time. I don't think it's an issue of documentation. I think we haven't. I mean, look, this year, technically, if you take 2004, because Chobwe, the song was recorded in 2004. If we're saying that Hiplife was before, let's just say it was before, I would say 93, then last year was 30 years. What was done? Did anybody mention it?
Nope.
Nothing. And this year, nobody has mentioned it. I know I've been talking to a couple of my own colleagues about doing something in 95, which is officially the year that the Showboy video came out. And so that would be the 30 years. But as yet, nothing really from any quarter in Ghana has popped up to even celebrate it. So I don't really think it's an issue to do with documentation. The fact that we don't really value what it is that we have. We've never valued it. If you go back right through history, it's like we just kind of do stuff and let others take over, and then we just move on to the next thing. If you go back through Hiplife, it's never been celebrated for giving Nigeria the music that it did. Its contribution to, Fela Kute's, Afrobeat. We've never celebrated in any of our old Hiplife artists. We've never really, and Bugger Hiplife and, contemporary Hiplife, all of these variations. We've even forgotten about Arcada and the amazing Azonto, which literally went around the world. We've literally consigned it to history until somebody comes along and says, oh, do you remember Azonto? But Azonto put us on a global stage. We just have this habit of not really taking what we do seriously. We just make something new and move on. So I don't really think it's down to documentation as such. There's a lot. If you want to find out about Hiplife, I've noticed, that a lot of people are writing stuff. There's documents, there's, PhD documents written, research documents that I've written, and I only came across them because I was looking for some information while doing something on this Hiplife at 30 thing, and I realized that there were documents and books that have mentioned Hiplife. The documentation is there. It's just that we as Ghanaians don't really take what we do that seriously sometimes.
AB, so moving forward, according to Reggie Rockstone, counting from when Showboy was his first album was recorded, actually, this year will be 30 years of Hiplife. As a people, by way of making sure this legacy lives on, what do you think we can do as one people to make sure this happens?
Okay, so look, let me tell you what Hiplife, I believe, and this is coming from, it's my own personal opinion.
Yes, sir.
But let me tell you what I believe Hiplife has done globally. We kind of squeezed Hiplife out of hip hop, which was happening in America. And the history of hip hop itself is kind of odd, and I don't really want to go into it because we're going to get into all sorts of stuff. And I could go right back to like traditional African appellations where, I could go right back to all of that. So I don't want to go there. But I think that Hiplife has given the world or if you like, has given Africa something that we don't even realize. We've changed the image of Africa through the music videos, through the sounds. Afrobeats, the mother and father of Afrobeats is Hiplife. And even the Nigerians who claim Afrobeats know this. So we've given the world something massive, but we don't celebrate it. I don't have to come out and say, look, government should do this, or this person should do that, or this person. I shouldn't have to do that. We should realize we have institutions. Musica should come out and say, look, this year is the 30th anniversary of something that has shaken the world. What are we doing about it? It doesn't have to be Abraham or Reggie or somebody. Who's even celebrated Reggie for this? Who's mentioned? We did Ghana Music Awards. Nobody mentioned it. That this was 30 years or this was X amount. They celebrated their year, but totally forgot that the genre that gave...
It was celebrated this year, actually. It was celebrated when Reggie came on stage. Yeah, I was saying that this year the TGM is celebrated Hiplife when Reggie came on stage to introduce other.
in reality, you think that's what Hiplife deserves?
More than that.
I understand, but you think that is all that it deserved?
It deserves better. It deserves
what
better.
it has given the world? Honestly, I mean, come on, listen. We have what is now referred to as Dirty December, which is now, I mean, a lot of the kids in the UK here, they're all gearing up to come to Ghana in December. This is all because of what Hiplife has given to Ghana, to Africa. You understand? There's so much that has sprung off. We don't see it. We have given. I remember in early 2000, and when they did this Netflix documentary, they were talking about Afrobeats
Yeah,
being
the Afrobeat.
Nigerian
Yeah,
and this,
yeah.
that, and the other. We took Ghanaian music videos to Nigeria when they had no music. Right. This is what allowed them to be able to create. I mean, they had music. We had developed our sound already. We had developed, I mean, we had big Hiplife artists who were attracting international attention. Tic Tac had a video being shot by an MTV crew here in the 90s, I mean, in early 2000s, when he was rejecting the bank of his song. That's how he ended up putting Tommy Tutula on his song. We had big acts. We opened the doors for a lot of Nigerian acts, which is now giving them the opportunity to claim Afrobeats, which is now like shaking the world. But we don't see it. And celebrating it like that at the Music Awards, it's really not enough. Hiplife has really given Ghana something. It's created so employment. Much. It's changed the image of Africa. It's changed. Look, when you're in Europe, the images that you see of Africa is appalling. All you see are commercials from Oxfam and these charitable organizations showing terrible things about Africa. But now, if you go on YouTube and you want to see stuff about Africa, and you want to see that we live, we love, we celebrate, we live normal lives. A lot of it is seen through our music. And this emanates from Hiplife. Yet we don't see it. So I mean, that's my issue with it. I don't think it should be one person that should say. This is something that we have institutions that should be able to come out and say, yeah, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. It shouldn't be from one person.
Great. Abby, please stay on for me for a while. Let me come into the studio and speak to Uncle Ken, Beats Menace, and Joe Fraser. But before that, so in 1993, a gentleman called Atakak recorded a song called Obasima. It was released in 1994, again, the same year, 1994. And this is also in same fashion as the Hiplife songs that we listen to. Attack with Oba Sima. Bitmenis, how come some of us didn't hear of this song?
well, I think it had a cult following because apparently in Kumasi it was really selling, and it wasn't released on a label. It was self-distributed. He produced. At some point, there's a little bit of rap on there. I think it was recorded in '93, officially released in '94. And at the time he lived abroad, he produced it himself.
All right, I wanted to see if we could hear the rap, but it's not yet on.
Yeah. Of course, it was more influenced by dance music.
Okay,
you know.
okay.
For someone who lived in Europe, at some point he gave up on a music career, and a chance discovery of the song had it making waves across Europe. Somebody had to leave Europe to try find him here in Ghana after he had long decided to quit music.
Yeah,
and it was officially re-released in 2015 on a label.
Okay.
I think they found a way of remastering, you know,
the sound.
No, we do that these days.
And it became a smash hit in Europe, across Europe, and he's been touring ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Atakak.
Kakra.
Kak for short.
Yes. So he's a twin.
I see.
So there's even I think they even produced a mini documentary concerning the very obscure circumstances that led to his rediscovery and the re-release of the song and how big it became in Europe. So it's actually a pretty interesting watch.
Wow. Talking about celebrating the gains of Hiplife, Joe Fraser, what do you think can be done? Because you see, most times we talk about we protecting what we have. It's happened to High Life. We're talking about Hiplife now because Hiplife is also ours.
Sure.
How do we make sure that Hiplife lives on?
It's sad. I mean, I think Abraham has said it all. I think what we got to do is we need to, because we don't value ours. Okay, we like something like Azonto. When Azonto came, everybody was doing Azonto. We joined the other to honor Azonto. So when Azonto is fading, any will be fading. At the end of the day, when you are listening to the radio, one instrumentation, Azonto nkwa, odi na. You see, Al-Qaeda came, everybody was doing Al-Qaeda. So when Al-Qaeda is fading out, and you will be you throw away what is yours. So I think that we need to value what we have. I mean, put some quality in it, add more spices to it. Let people learn from us. Okay, you use your microphone too much, and then that is killing. I mean, our game. You see, because when you go out there, I mean, like Abraham was saying, Hiplife has done a lot. Hiplife has done a lot.
So much.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, and then whether we like it or not, that is ours. Yeah, dear, no. Whether we like it or not. So why don't we add more spices to it, add more quality to it? Let's stick to ours. Let people learn from us. Okay, dan say Azonto bani nyina etwema na obia etwem na ne de no akahye akaida ba na obia etwema na nyina etwem na ye de akahye. What are we doing to ourselves? Oh, so I think that we should really talk about these things.
Okay.
Yeah, let's make noise about these issues. It's very, very serious issue here.
Very important.
I mean, yes. So we should make a lot of noise about these things.
Let me come to Uncle Ken. Uncle Ken, so I think some people have been mentioning the fact that we've had Azonto, other sub-genres, if you like, of Hiplife. But does it mean the parent genre shouldn't, be projected? Because when you go into the hip hop world, there are other variants. We have the drill and all that. They are all sub-genres of hip hop. They are still there, but hip hop hasn't died yet.
Exactly.
It is still there.
Exactly.
What's the way forward? How do we make sure the things that we create and we own, we are able to preserve them for generations?
Kwame, and you expect me to be able to give an answer to the question that you just posed?
You are my professor here.
I mean, what's the sort of music in vogue at the moment?
I think it's Afrobeat now.
Yes, Afrobeat. So I agreed 100% with Abraham Oyenejan. But the issue is Hiplife is not what is in vogue today. So there's no way Hiplife is going to be in the minds of people out there to whether to celebrate it or think about it or glorify it or whatever we want to do with it, unless there's a definite, purposeful focus on celebrating the advent of Hiplife, if it's 30 years ago or whatever period. If you want to celebrate it, then you can go ahead and be focused on a celebration of the genre. How do you celebrate the genre? You celebrate the genre by planning a national celebration whereby you start playing songs from that era on all platforms, whether radio or social media or whatever, and project what you intend to do to celebrate it. Otherwise, nobody's just going to get up from Cloud 9 and say, oh, yeah, Hiplife did us good, so let's celebrate it, without a focus. So there has to be a focus to the celebration of Hiplife. Otherwise, you guys always say music evolves, right? And so Hiplife has been left over the years. We've evolved, like you've just said, Azonto came, other formats came, and today it's Afrobeats. A friend of mine in the UK said to me the other day, we were discussing something, he said to me, it's very difficult for him to differentiate between an Afrobeat by a Ghanaian musician and one by a Nigerian musician. He said, unless he gets to know the name of the artist, he finds it difficult to tell whether this particular song is Ghanaian or is Nigerian, where Afrobeats is concerned. You know. And I said, yes, I can understand him finding it difficult because everybody's doing what's in vogue. Everybody's doing what's in vogue, and you can't blame them for doing that. You always support people, you Kwame Dadzie, you always support people going forward, evolve. The Hiplife that we use, as for me, my only problem is with the quality of production. If you want to lift something, and I think that with the quality of the Hiplife that was produced back then, if there's a focus that we want to celebrate Hiplife over a period of time, be it 25 or 30 years, and we bring back the songs that were produced within that era. I do not want the ones before the 2000s, because the ones before the 2000s that you have played to me this evening have been disturbing to my ears. Because the quality has not been the same as when Joe them were on.
Yeah, true.
So if you want to celebrate Hiplife, it has to be from the period when Joe them were on, when the quality was solid. Yeah. And when people hear that quality, it will ginger them into say, wow, this was a sound that we should have maintained. We should have maintained. Back then, there was no social media. Because Kwame, I tell you, if there was social media frenzy back then, like there is today, the quality of sound that we had then and the high-lifey rhythms that were put into those songs could have made headway.
Yeah.
I seriously believe so. It could have made headway.
Sure.
We didn't have social media and the means to put it to every Tom, Dick and Harry like we have with Afrobeats. Afrobeats is listened to everywhere, and people like it. People like it, and it's being recognized even by the powers that be in the States. Is it not being recognized? Yes. Sure. And I think that if we had Hiplife with the quality of songs that were produced from the 2000s today, I think we would have had a look in as well.
Great. 0551111997. We're talking about a Hiplife. We are thinking about ways we can celebrate the gains of Hiplife. Beats Menace. There are also some Hiplife artists or rap artists in Ghana now who are doing what we used to call Hiplife back in the day, but now they choose to call those type of songs hip hop instead of Hiplife. Is that also a contributing factor to the whole state of Hiplife that we see now?
Well, yes and no. And much like what Uncle Ken said, culture is dynamic. It evolves because it's a real-time reflection of what people are doing and how they are living, So, I mean, I think the era that marked the pinnacle of Hiplife, is far gone. That's not something I think we should cry over. It's life. The one thing that is inevitable in life is change, right? I mean, I still have a poster of Tic Tac. I think he's now known by Tic, right? When he was headlining a major show in Lagos. I think it was an Mnet event. And there were two headliners. And he had the same billing as Nas. That's how big Tic Tac was in Nigeria back then. I have the poster in my personal archive, So I think it's a yes and a no. That may be coming from a place of ignorance, but I still think they do have a certain level of legitimacy because that's their spin on what they feel a hip-hop artist from our part of the world should sound like. And so I do not think we should take it away from them, even if we may not necessarily agree, because some of these decisions are more steeped in commercial decisions, business decisions, and marketing more than anything else. However, I do think when it comes to preserving our music legacy, I've sat on the same platform and several others to say time and again that I personally am convinced, without a shadow of a doubt, that the solution to this problem, although not a singular solution, is mainly heavily, like it leans heavily on the fact that we do not have a well thought out and implemented policy on culture. It's that simple. It's the same reason High Life is suffering, Azonto suffered, Al Qaeda suffered, Hiplife is suffering. It's that simple. Okay? So much so that sometimes we get lost in the emotions of some of these conversations and arguments without necessarily honing in on the fundamental problem and finding a lasting solution to it. But Charlie, the reality is stark clear. Right now, Afrobeats is the thing. You can literally, if you can play R2B's I Want to Kiss Your Hand, that's when you could literally, for the first time on a commercial level, hear the gradual erasure of what, in my opinion, was strongly considered Hiplife into what we now consider Afrobeats. I Want to Kiss Your Hand. And the audio release of that song, I think, even came out a year or two before they released the visuals. So I think it was recorded in like 2009, 2010-ish. You understand? You just listen to the song. But Charlie, like I keep saying, there's an old proverb that says, when two siblings feud, it's a stranger from a foreign land who will come and inherit your parents' property. And that's exactly what's happening. And I find it quite surprising and funny sometimes, and pretty tragic, that we keep whining over this time and again without finding lasting solutions to it. We have a lot of sentimental and emotional solutions. People they meet, let's play strictly Ghana music. But it's not practical. You need stuff that is firmly entrenched in policy and which favor businesses. Do you understand what I'm saying? The first time they had us sit down with the DJs, the very next day, one of the primary organizers, the conveners of that event, had an event at Front Back. And they were playing Amapiano strictly.
Wow.
It's wild
After the
to
meeting.
me. Oh yeah, the very next day. And I'm not taking it away from him because it was an Amapiano, event. But you're promoting somebody else's culture, and in that same breath, you will come sit here, talk, say, "Oh, we know the support on our own. Let's play strictly Ghanaian music." It's gimmicky. It's funny. Anybody in the media space will tell you that media entities primarily make their bread from ad placements. Right? What policies are in place that are informed by the policy on culture that segues into education? So people need to understand the importance of Hiplife, high life, all these things. So if for inform hospitality, it go inform education and syllabus, it go inform media policy, and even taxing systems. If you are audited and multimedia met their quota, that reflects the policy that was enacted, so to speak, if there's any such policy, that, you've played a lot more local content. So the next year, you're supposed to get tax rebates at the end of the year and into the following year. You need to we need incentives. These are businesses. So, I think it's a little too late for us to be going round in circles, finding very superficial and sometimes very funny solutions to some of these problems. Because in the next 25, 50 years, we'll sit here again and we'll be discussing the same issues.
Sure. Joy 99.7 FM, Showbiz A to Z, Hiplife, the game called Hiplife. We're looking at how we can maybe make sure that the legacy lives on years after maybe we're gone from here. We also have joining us on Zoom JQ. He is a music producer. Abraham Ohinija is still online now. Let me quickly move online and speak to Jay and AB. JQ. Hello? Okay, if Jay can't hear me, let me...
Hello. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Oh, good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys also doing?
We're also doing great here. And today we're just looking at some of the works that we have done as a people in the music industry. Hiplife is one of them. You were very instrumental in Hiplife, the creation of the genre, because during your time, you also introduced something different that caught the fancy of people. What was the inspiration behind that kind of jammer feel that you introduced into the system?
First of all, let me say hello to everybody there. Big Menace, I see you. Joe Fraser, me and Joe Fraser worked on a project that Obrafo, I think on execution, entertainment. So Joe Fraser too, hi, and every other person in the studio. Before we talk about that revolution, let me go back a little to when Hiplife started. Most of the time when we are having conversations of Hiplife, when my name is mentioned, people try to glorify me from when I introduced that change into Hiplife. But what they seem to forget is that I was right there when Hiplife started. And to talk about listening to the interview, like who started rap, who started Hiplife, I think anybody who says Reggie is the first person to rap in Ghana is a big liar. That person doesn't even know what the person is talking about. Reggie can never be the first person who ever did rap in Ghana. Rap had existed, as we all know. But if you are talking about who popularized it commercially and maybe put some type of definitions to it, not in the form of writing, but creative-wise, then we can all, attribute that to Reggie Rockstone. Because after he came out with his debut album, it kind of, offered some type of hope for all these other people who were doing Hiplife to also, take the mantle and see what can be done. So one of the first Hiplife songs I released right after Reggie came out in the 90s was Book Bag's first album, Comic Akena, under Abib Records. We did that in DHM. So after we did that album, Precise Music also had then signed VIP. VIP also recorded their debut album, and these were all within the space when Reggie came out. And I did their Rana Sangla album, also in CHM, the same studio where Reggie Rockstone's first album was produced and recorded by Zap. But at the time, Zap had left, and I had gone in after Zap left. So I was working with Zola. Zola was also the engineer. Zola assisted Zap when Zap was there. So when Zap left, I went in, and then we did all that. Now, somebody will ask that. I think one of the panelists in the studio mentioned that if we have to celebrate Hiplife, it has to be from 2000 when Joe Fraser. I think when he said when Joe Fraser had a sound, because that sound was, I think, sonically better. I think he should go back a little and listen to songs before 2000s. Like if you play Ibi Chengelengi, at the time we're using a hybrid system. Hybrid system is where a computer has been introduced into production. Prior to computer, it was, you just play everything live, what we call analog. But then I witnessed the scene when hybrid was in effect. And hybrid is where computer was added to the mixing consoles, to the keyboard, to drum machines, to everything that we were doing. So, we were not limited as far as bit-wise, as far as, all these frequency calculations like that. The digital era now is faced to really, really have all those restrictions. So we went all out, to do our music. So at the time, the sound wasn't better when Joe Fraser from the 2000s. The sound, I just want to correct the man there. The sound was better when Reggie Rockstone came, when Bookback came, when everybody came prior to the 2000s, because around the 2000s it was going very digital. But the hybrid era, and I say this on record, there are songs you can play from the hybrid era that sounded, that till today, it even beats most of the digital recordings that we did. I personally also championed in the 2000s. So now one may ask, coming to your question, like, how did all that come around? Now, at the time when we joined Hiplife, like my senior AB said, we were all students, we were all young boys, we were all teenagers. And even the people that we were recording, like for me, like Bookback, like VIP, these are all youth, we're all young people doing music. And so Hiplife was new. And the following of Hiplife, when I say the following, as far as if Hiplife was a product, people that were consuming Hiplife were young people. I witnessed Bookback's launching. We did it at Kingsby Hotel in Achimota in the 90s, like 97 or 98. Kwame Dadzie, it was a crowd of young people. You can't tell anybody in the crowd was 30 years. It was the teens, maybe up to a little 20-something.
Gen Zs at the time.
Yes, I also witnessed VIP's debut launching that I produced under Precise Music at His Majesty's opposite Trade Fair. And it was a crowd, it was a big crowd of young people. I remember so well at the launching, Prodigal was trying to rap and he had this long chain, and somebody from the crowd pulled his chain. VIP at the time, they dropped their microphone, jumped into the crowd, and fought the crowd that came to support them to retrieve.
Wow.
Man, the Hiplife story is, we need to really document the story well, not what BBC did. Shout out to BBC, but there are a lot of holes in that documentary they did. Because some of us who started Hiplife, we are still alive. We are around. AB is there, I'm there, Zab is there, Reggie is there. We are the people who can tell the Hiplife story, not some white, like talking about documentation of Hiplife. I mean, nobody, I remember
there is somebody that needs to be mentioned, and nobody has mentioned this person.
Who is that?
KKDR.
Oh, yeah.
Case Frequency.
KKD, yeah, Case Frequency.
Case Frequency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he also did that. I remember there was a time when Joy FM posted something online about, I've forgotten his name. I think he's a professor of music or something. He's a white man.
Professor John Collins.
And he was,
yeah.
I think so. He was giving education about high life. And then he was trying to say the Ghana people borrow their music from the accounts. And people were applauding him. It took me to come and tell people that this man, what he's saying could be partly true, but it's not utterly true. And, we're going back and forth. And I said, the reason why you people should listen to me is that this man is in Ghana studying us, what we did. He can know what he's saying better than, because we are alive. If we are not alive, that is when these people can write. So you see, coming to what I was saying, the Hiplife movement was followed by young people. Now, the music we were doing the young people had no purchasing power. These are all students. Nobody had money to go and buy book bag, to go and buy Reggie Rockstone, to go and buy VIP. I remember my mother at the time would only buy cassette tapes. And the kind of cassette my mother would buy was like Tego Sisters and, Ben Bracco is the highlight. My mother never supported Hiplife, as in buying like a rap tape to listen. And when you look at the lifestyle, that the impact of the music we're making in the lives of the musician, other than Obrafo, who released an Eclipse right after he released his Payamuka, most of these boys were working, they were hustling, they were hungry. Like, even though they have released 1 or 2 albums, like, people can make ends meet. Some of the people I help, I have to dip my hands in my pocket after they pay me for studio to take money from this same money they paid me to buy them food during studio sessions and stuff.
Like, seriously?
So, yes, of course. So for me, I sat down. Don't forget, people think, oh, JQ, they play Jama. I'm one of the hard hip hop players. Go and listen. From Book Bag, from VIP. Shaolin Monfong is like the Wu-Tang of Ghana. They have a serious album. I recorded Shaolin Monfong, and it's a serious hip hop album. But listen, the thing is that if you are doing something that entirely don't represent your culture, I mean, what is the lifespan of it? It's just like you are making something that you realize there is no business for it. As far as the music we're making as youth, my mother wasn't buying Hiplife. I don't know the people in the studio whose parents at the time were buying tapes, who were actually buying cassettes. So I sat down personally to ask myself, what would it take for my mother to go and buy rap music? What will it take for my grandmother to want to listen to rap music that we are doing? What will it take for these boys that are doing rap music to be able to maybe buy cars and stop taking trotro, to be able to rent their own apartment, maybe buy lands and do all these things? Don't forget, me myself, I was living in my mom's house at the time. So we were all doing Hiplife. So I realized that we cannot change, the way an artist performs as far as like the lyrics and the rhythm of their compositions. And if you break rhythm down as far as like an artist's performance is concerned, you can say maybe the rap or the singing. We cannot necessarily change how Reggie should rap to attract my mother, or how a bride should sing to attract Beatmaner's father. But we can change the rhythm. We can play something that my mother will hear and want to dance. Beatmaner's mother will hear and be like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And when we do that, we will also bridge the gap. We will bring together both the youth and then the old. And that is what I did. I did an experiment in the year 2000. In the year 2000, Bookback had left Abib Records because Abib Records wasn't making any money from music. That is the only why he retired. All the people who started, they were not making the supercars and go rap music. Where were they really making from rap? Black Label, who was managing Obrafo's first album that Hammer Dems produced, which I was part of. I was there in the studio when it was done. Nobody was really making any money. So record labels or executive producers were retiring very early. So I'm like, no, let's see what we can do. So Bookback came to see me. I had then left CHM. I was at Virtual Studio at Graphic Road. Then it was Pro Tools, fully digital. But then when Pro Tools at the time, it doesn't have, you can make beats on it. So we were using, other softwares, and then we kind of sync the two together, Studio Vision, and then we do our vocals. Pro Tools is now like full where you can, do your beats in it. But at the time, Pro Tools maybe was strictly audio. So Bookback came to see me, and I'm like, okay, what are we doing? And because I was financing that album, which album I'm talking about is I'm Going to Come. Because I was financing that album, I kind of had a say in what should go on, and to also kind of experiment what I had in mind that I think will kind of bring more money in the industry. So I told Bright when they brought that particular song, if you listen to I'm Going to Come album, other than I'm Going to Come, all the other songs are hip hop, which we've been doing back in the day.
Jay, the conversation is getting interesting. Jay, very interesting conversation. But you see, people want to see your full face. It appears the camera is a bit tilted. Good, fantastic. Like this, so we can see. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So don't forget, at the time, a lot of people were all trying to record, and like we were lost as Hiplifers because Bookback had released 2 songs. They were still hustling, VIP, everybody, around the time it was a hassle. Whether rap or hip life will survive or not, nobody knows. But the high life artists were making it. So when we did the I'm Going to Come album, that particular song, I'm Going to Come, when Bright was doing Sebo Amgo, I could hear exactly, what I had in mind. So I told Bright, I said, what do you guys make of this song? Of course, everybody who knows Bright will tell you. He said hip hop. And I said, okay, all right. I mean, I have this experiment that I want us to do, I think will bring money, blah, 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 blah. He initially didn't buy into it, but Ronnie of Bookback, may his soul rest in peace. He's like, let's listen to the man. Let's do what the man is saying. So if you listen to I'm Going to Come, the drum is hip hop. It was hip hop, but the strings and the gourmet, that was where I introduced the gourmet because of course I'm a Ghan, so I want to project where I'm from too more. So I fused a little bit of our traditional cultural Wulome type of music that people know into I'm Going to Come. Now, when we finished the album, Ajikot was my friend at the time, and he's still my friend. He had recorded Nasty and Dilla. So he had recorded Nasty, another hip-hop album I did for Nasty. And he told me that if you find any artist interesting enough whose work can bring money, pitch them to me. So, of course, I took the album to Ajikot. We listened, and it's like, okay, I will do this production. That was the time that, the system changed from artists and record labels signing percentages. Then at the time, it was 70-30. The record companies would take 70%, and then the artists would take 30%. That was the time that outright album sales started. What that means is the record label will say, I'll give you X amount, maybe 100,000 Ghana. Whatever I make or lose is none of your business. But then this is how I'm going to do the payments. So Ajikot bought I'm Going to Come for X amount that I don't want to disclose. And then when we were giving him the songs to put on the promo, we did not choose I'm Going to Come because we know it was new. We know it had too much traditional history. People might not like it. So we selected the hip-hop songs on the album. But Ajikot, being an older man, listened to the album and he saw my vision. We were not there. He selected I'm Going to Come. Any DJ who has I'm Going to Come will tell you. The promo CD, I'm Going to Come, was the last song on the promo. It was the last song. Usually DJs will play the first one, but it was the last song. It was like an afterthought. And it became history. We all saw what happened to it. It became so big.
Wow.
That was the first time Bookback bought their cars. Ronnie bought Benz. Bright bought, I think, a Toyota open top, like a one-door sports car. That was the first time I made so much money from production. Then I was like, oh my God, this thing is the thing. But the media, you people, you are critics. Like this interview going on, we don't support our own. Like Joe Fraser is saying, we don't like to identify with what is Ghanaian. It's like we are shy for people to see what we know to eat and cook is Banku and K. Now we want to be seen as fried rice eaters. We want to be seen as, oh, it's my birthday, I want to eat pizza. And that's the type of people we are. So the media criticized my work a lot. But show business, there is no bad publicity. Once you criticize JQ, I become more popular and I became more famous. Then all the artists started trooping in. Why do you think they were trooping in? They were all hustling. I'm Going to Come has changed Bright and Ronnie's life. They now live in better apartments. These guys were now dressing well. They smelled good. They were wearing good cologne. So that was when money started coming in the industry. So when you talk of the transition from probably, the hip hop that we know to what pushed me into what I did. So this was the motive. It was to bring money, to preserve what we do. And so that was what I did.
That's a good account, man. JQ, you stay on for us. Let me come to AB before I come back to you. When you were talking, you mentioned some documentary that the BBC did on Hiplife. AB, if you were there, I know you are into documentaries and audiovisual stuff. And I remember, I think I heard you speak to Andy Dusty when that documentary came out, talking about the quality, the content, and all that. Do you think that we need something like that really tells our story?
The documentaries, like I said, there's a bunch of stuff out there. I mean, Reggie has a documentary that was done some time ago. There's the BBC stuff. There's people putting out all sorts of stuff. People are making all sorts of documentaries. There's documents out there, some doctoral documents that involve Hiplife and things like that. You know what? What we really do need, I mean, when I look at it from afar and I look at the industry from afar, what I realize is that the music industry, the creative industry, is like the bastard child of Ghana. It's left on its own to do what it likes. There's no investment. There's no policy to govern it properly, to control it, and it's two things. One, it's because it's like the fourth estate. When you have a very strong media, it's difficult to control. So governments don't often like to, if you like, encourage media to become very strong and powerful. That's one of the things that you need to realize. Why policy and controlling and growing the media isn't primary for states to do, especially developing countries, because the media can dethrone a state leader. We've seen it around the world. The other thing is that you need to look at the way sports, for example, has changed. From when Michael Essien, we all heard about the kind of money Michael Essien made. We've seen the kind of money that's gone into football. And we know the academies and, the fact that people are developed from age 8 right up until 16, kids that leave in the country to go and play in different parts of the world, right? We need to kind of like look at the industry, the creative industry, a little bit like that. There has to be a concerted effort, not just on Hiplife, because Hiplife is one genre which is past, just like everything else, like what Osibisa was doing, like all the Arcadia and all these other genres that have come and gone. And new genres will come. Like I said, every generation will create its own. But we need to really sit back and look at the industry properly, because it's an industry that has not only changed Ghana in terms of employment, but I think even the peace that we have in Ghana kind of like draws a little bit from the expansion of the media. Listen to, when I first came to this country, it was like 80% local language media, radio stations on air. Now it's the other way around. People and politics more. They understand the likelihood is that you have less misunderstanding. So in a way, it's kind of contributed to us understanding each other and not going around, massacring each other and taking machetes out when we have disputes. These are some of the things that the expansion of the media has done for Ghana. These are things that we need to look at. And really, despite the fact that government doesn't really see or is afraid of the media, it is a massive contributor in terms of employment and income. We've seen it. We've seen the growth. And we've just listened to GQ talk about how money, how it changed the lives of himself and he helped. Yeah. And if I look historically back for all these 30 years, so much has changed, so much. And I have seen artists go. I saw Shatawale. I remember Bandana. I remember him. Before he even recorded with Tiny, and I was handling Tiny at that time. And now look at him now. We have big artists that have gone from nothing to everything. Okay, so we should realize as a country that this is something. It's a ball we need to take and run with it. This is bringing in tourism. Like I mentioned earlier, our music has, look, in December, November, December, January in Ghana is crazy in Ghana.
Yeah.
Why is this? Because of the creative industry, because of the music industry. But we haven't taken the ball and run with it. We haven't even looked at Dirty December and found a way to turn it into a time period where we can bring more people in. I have people who go, oh, I want to go Asaka music and this, that, and the other. But they come to Ghana to come and experience Asaka, and they go to Kumasi, and there's nothing. Like what they see online doesn't exist on the ground. And it's an example of how we don't really and haven't really invested in the creative industry. So me personally, in listening to all of the conversation that's going on with sound quality and the history and all of this stuff, looking at everything from afar, I think it goes beyond just documenting. It goes beyond just documentaries. What we need to do as a country really is to sit back and look at the value we put. Look, government makes policy about oil, it makes policy about cocoa, we even have cocoa board. You know, that's purchasing everything. And, you know, I mean, we make policy about gold, we make policy about all our exports. But one of our biggest exports, we have left as a bastard child to fend for itself. People like me have invested in the industry and have kept investing for over 30 years. Tic-tac or Brafo from the very beginning. General Marcus, Sanini Agba, that video, on my budget. Right, if you even go back to Rexoma, Abiba, all of those things. Yeah. So some of the things that in the early days, in fact, right up until recently when I kind of like relaxed in the industry, a lot of the artists that I've helped right through to Comfort Party, it's on my budget. None of these artists will come to you and tell you that, oh, I did this. And I know the things that go on in the background with regards to Nigeria. I know how Nigeria's industry grew. I don't want to go into that story now. And I know how some people used to make money from the industry. I didn't even realize till much later on. But there were people who had schemes behind it. We would develop artists, and all of a sudden they would take the artist and go and do stuff. I don't want to accuse people of things, but they would do all sorts of illicit things, make some money, and then we wouldn't know what to do with it. We wouldn't know how to get our artists back because we were trying to pay them from sales. But the fact of the matter is, putting all of that aside, as a nation, as a people, and I'm talking to our leaders, and I'm talking to the people who are trying, because part of the problem we have in our country, the reason why inflation is the way it is, and the reason why we have a lot of is because of lack of productivity, right? A country's currency is based on how much it produces. And if we have an institution, an industry that can contribute to our productivity, I think as a people, we need to look at it carefully because it is. Tourism contributes massively to Ghana. The music industry contributes massively to Ghana. The creative industry contributes massively to Ghana. Yet it is not treated as anything valuable. And that's my biggest problem. So I honestly do believe that, yes, we can document, we can make documentaries, and we can do all sorts of stuff, and we can write books, and we can write the story properly. But if as a people, we do not see this industry as the same way that we see gold, cocoa export, oil exports, all our other exports, we are doing a great disservice to a section of our productivity that has not only changed people's life economically, but socially and politically has kept Ghana, if you like, peaceful as a nation. Because if you go into it, when I look at it, I think that the fact that we have grown an industry that is predominantly local language has made it possible for people who ordinarily would never be involved in politics to be involved. They understand politics because it's explained to them in a local language. So they can get involved. You can now have a farmer who has never been to school, who is female, who ordinarily would be an outsider, contest
great
as a presidential candidate. All because we have the media that communicates in local language. How does that happen? Individuals, like individuals who have built, like despite industries on their own backs with all sorts of hustles to try and create this space. As a nation, we really need to recognize this and look at the creative industry in a different light entirely.
Wonderful submission there. Abraham Ohinijan is CEO of OM Media. Now, let me go on phone lines and speak to the originator. Ayawidana. Minyenizi anase minyeniza. We have on the phone line right now Reggie Rockstone, who is the Hiplife grandpapa originator. I trust you're doing so well.
Petro.
What are they?
Petro, it's in my pocket.
Yeah, Santia, that's it. Now, we're looking at Hiplife and how far we've come. So, a few months ago, I heard you say that Hiplife is 30 years old, and we've been looking forward to maybe an itinerary of a celebration of a sort. Can you tell us what the preparations are?
Well, to begin with, just listening to my brother Abraham's submission blew me away, because he literally said everything that I wanted to tell everyone. And hearing it from him, being that he was there when it all happened, it's a beautiful thing. So I have so much hope. Just listening to him, I was just smiling. I was like, tell him, you know. And the very person who is in the forefront, besides myself and others, is actually sat in the room with you. That's Abraham. And he has amazing plans to move this celebration and more. And so you are in good company, actually, because that's the key. He was there. He documented it. Nobody has more footage of all that happened than that man, and stories to go with it. So, yeah, he's 100. As for me, I'm always ready. I've always been Pan-African. I've always, myself, my father, and brother Abraham, always been Pan-African. We shared the same ideologies. It's what brought us here. We all lived outside and came home literally almost at the same time. So the Panjis, the Michael Cooks. So you're talking to like some revolutionaries here. And it's an honor to still be alive to see that this is going to happen. But he summed it up so beautifully. You know, it has contributed immensely. And Ghanaians, we have been so complacent and so arrogant. And, you know, it's crazy. Listen, this petrol guy's tapping on my window. Can I pay my bill real quick? Like that.
Okay.
Okay, so, yeah, this is my take. And it has to be done whilst we're still alive, and praise God, we're all still here. And I believe it's going to. I mean, today I posted Blacko, Ken Sharif at the BET, and I was sat there thinking to myself, it's amazing. All of this happening came from one story, Hiplife. But where's the documentary? Where's the you know? It's a beautiful story. It's worthy of a movie. You know, and what he said about even the politicians schmoozing off of it, it makes a lot of sense. You have the year of return. You know how many influential, affluent, big Hollywood musicians pass through Ghana, from Spike Lee to Idris Elba to Jay-Z, has been here. And still we sit wondering how to move. You think if we took all of these folks and stuck them in our cousins' Nigeria, boy, they run with it. And we could, case study, we could watch and learn. You know, so the levels of patriotism needs to go up. We need to, like, really, because we can make a whole lot of money. And people got rich off of Hiplife. Don't ever get fooled. People in the, like Abraham said, people in the back, people got paid. People built houses. So today, when I see Konfokwa there going through what he's going through, and many more, it's a shame. Because people really leached on it.
Yeah, Reggie, I know you're on the road, but let me ask you this one. So, by way of celebrating 30 years of Hiplife, have you, as the originator, have you maybe consulted or called some of your friends, the pioneers, those that helped to pioneer this movement? Have you called them to make sure that you put
Yeah,
this through?
me and our brother Abraham, you know, there's a WhatsApp link over there. Me and our chairman talk much. Me and our Bradford and our chairman talk much. Lord Kenya just lost his father, by the way. Sending light to him. He hit me up yesterday. You know, I'm talking to. Whoa. Hey, dude. He got a Range Rover drive.
Okay, Joy 99.7 FM, the superstation. We're still talking about Hiplife here, and we've been speaking to the Hiplife originator, Reggie Rockstone, telling us about 30 years of Hiplife and how we're going to celebrate this. Do we have concrete plans to celebrate Hiplife this year? Yeah, that is what we're talking about. Are we looking at ways of preserving Hiplife as and making sure that the legacy of Hiplife lives on? Right here in the studio, we have Beats Menace, we have Uncle Ken, we have on Zoom AB, Abraham Ohinijan, JQ, and in studio again we have Joe Fraser. So you can send in your messages 055111197. You have anything to say about Hiplife and maybe a suggestion how we can make sure this game lives on. You can send that right now 055111197. Now let me come in and speak to Joe Fraser. Joe Fraser is a musician. He's out with a new song called After Church because he says after church so many things happen. So many things happen. Maybe even before I speak to Joe, so we come back and conclude this conversation. Let's take a listen to this one, yeah? Frankel Foundation. Fraser featuring King Paluta King right there. Yeah, he's still holding on to the Hiplife just like that, and he's doing it sweet and nice. Joy 99.7 FM. We have so much more to give you after this.
Hey, we see you specking your car, taking that trip, chilling on the beach. Charlie, now we want to see this become your story. Simply use your ABSA card 10 times or more and you'll be entered into a monthly draw where you stand a chance to be among 5 lucky winners to take home 40,000 Ghana cedis. The more you use your card, the more entries you'll receive. Earn an extra entry by using the ABSA app or internet banking 5 times or more. No ABSA card? Don't worry. Visit the nearest branch for an ABSA account or card today and make winning part of your story. Promotion is between 1st July and 31st October. This promotion is regulated by the National Lottery Authority on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply. Your story matters. ABSA.
This is what the Olympics is all about.
Get closer to split-second wins. Closer to history in the making. Closer to your champions.
The greatest athletic achievements of all time.
Get DSTV to get closer to the 2024 Paris Olympic Games from 26 July to 11 August with 9 dedicated channels for the best coverage of every medal and every podium moment. On Supersport on DSTV, your home of entertainment.
Hey, so as for you, every day you are just pressing your phone. Why? Are they paying you?
They are, Oma.
Eh?
The more I use my MTN, the more points I get. And I can use those points to get airtime, data, and even discounts at shops and restaurants.
Hey, so that is why all of you are always pressing your phones. And you won't tell us, so that we too we can enjoy some.
Oh, ma.
There's always more to enjoy with MTN Rewards. Just keep talking, testing, and browsing all day, every day to collect your points and use it to redeem amazing offers and discounted freebies right away. There's so much available for you. So dial *550# and get your reward today. Let's go everywhere you go.
Kweku, have you heard what they are doing on
MTN? Dearly beloved, one stand by for the following bombshell. The Omanhin of Ogwa traditional area, Osaberema Dr. Kwesata II, Ogwa Omanhima Nana Ikua Abochi VI, and the Ogwa Traditional Council was a delight and pride to invite Amanfunyinara to the 60th Ogwa Fetu Afashe Festival. Nyaminchaze, the landmark celebration coincide with the 25th anniversary of Osaberema coronation. Inti Wake a double celebration. Nanchawara Yahweh de Fetu Afashezi, or you're not just the biggest festival in Ghana, or Sanso was the second biggest carnival in the world. Onuntina, the whole world redescend upon Cape Coast for an action-packed, exciting, Niger-centric 8-day celebration from the first Kepim the 8th of September 2024. Modofo Mamin just to highlights. Theme near celebrating the city of first, our people, our future. Special guest of honor here, Otumfo Osei Tutu II. Invited guests Nsudze Bibri, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, former President John Dramani Mahama, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin, just to mention a Kuranebian. Now events is the main start to a himfa. Homecoming Carnival, Akom Night, Bakatay Regatta, Food Fair, Youth Colloquium, Orange Friday, Ghana Music Festival, and Sana Traditional Derba Nankasa. Yabosia Himfu Now ya celebrating and 7 spectacular Asafo companies through the streets of Gwei. Information in area available online. Inse Kanaka Shishe, Ogwa Fetu Afashe, or social media. Now following for info and updates. Aye. Munia, them menu of merrymaking, them buffet of bashment, them cornucopia of cultural conviviality is it. May allow ma on happen without you at it. May yenshia wa Cape Coast, the city of first, for the 60th Ogwa Fetu Afashe Eye. Now this year hashtag Afashe Go B.
Gripping conversations, business opportunities, and inspiring life stories in the engine room. We have it all.
tune in to Springboard, your virtual university with Reverend Albert Okran, this Sunday at 7 p.m. on Joy 99.7 FM, Facebook, and YouTube. Catch the repeat telecast on Joy Prime every Saturday at 9 a.m. Sponsors: Enterprise Group, MTN Pulse, UMB Bank, and Central University. Media partners: Joy FM, Joy Prime, and Graphic Business. Springboard. Your personal value will shoot up.
Here's where we turn around. Here's where we turn around.
There's going to come a time that the church will rise as the highest of all the mountains, and saviors will be raised in the church to deal with the world system. And let it be now. We need to have a national focus. We don't have to lose this ambition, or else we work against the Great Commission.
They are equipped in righteousness, the agenda to possess the nations. Welcome to an equipping center of the word and prayer on Pentecost Hour.
Pentecost Hour comes to you on Joy 99.7 FM every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Hits FM on Mondays at 5:30 a.m. and Joy Prime TV on Saturdays at 7 a.m.
You're still on Joy 99.7 FM, the superstation. Showbiz A to Z is the name of the program. My name is Kwame Dadzie. Show brought to you by MTN everywhere you go. Now say goodbye to memorizing 1,001 short codes. Experience a complete one-click access to all MTN services with my MTN app. You can now check your airtime, data, and Momo balance, buy bundles with your airtime or from your Momo wallet, monitor your data usage and calls made, access your MTN Momo account, and so much more, all with my MTN app. Download my MTN app from the App Store or Google Play Store today to experience super convenient way to do the things you love on your favorite network. MTN, everywhere you go. Now this September, all roads lead to Cape Coast for the 60th Ogwa Fetua Fashe from 1st to 8th September. Come and experience an explosion of culture at Ghana's biggest festival. It's going to be 8 days of historic memory-making events like a Com Nights and Night of Reverence at Cape Coast Castle, Bakatui Regatta, a royal dinner with Utumfo Osetutu II, who's the guest of honor, Orange Friday, and the big climax, the Grand Deba, which is on Saturday, September 7. Now, for the first time this year, you can experience a Fashe in the Park, which is a 24/7 food, drink, and entertainment bazaar, which will run non-stop from 1st to 8th September at the Bacano beachfront. For enquiries and to book a stand at a Fashe in the Park, call 059-6050-600. Media partners are multimedia, so you just come and see your favorite stars from Adom FM, Joy FM, Hit FM, Joy Prime, Joy News, Ishra FM. Everybody is coming through. The 60th Ogwa Fetua Fashe is going to be the 8 days of fun, culture, and merrymaking. See you there. Now tomorrow is a Sunday, as usual. We'll be listening to Pentecost Hour with the chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Eric Nyameche. That's tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. But every Monday at 5:30 a.m. on Hit FM, Pentecost Hour is on as well on Joy Prime every Saturday at 7 a.m. So tune in every Sunday, Monday, and Saturday as Apostle Nyameche brings you life-transforming truth that nourishes the soul, ignites passion, and restores hope in the nations. Joy 99.7 FM, Showbiz A to Z. We're coming back in here to wrap up the conversation. This is where you get your take-home, your takeaways. In studio now, Uncle Ken, who is a broadcaster, a former artist manager. We have Beatman, his audio engineer, creative entrepreneur. We have in the studio as well. Big Joe Fraser, yo, She, out with a new song called After Church featuring Kim Paluta. And on Zoom, we have JQ. We also have Abraham Ohinijan. All these people have been very instrumental in the creation and the whole Hiplife movement. Earlier on, you had Reggie Rockstone, who is the originator or the grandpapa of Hiplife. So yes, let me come in here, Uncle Ken. Yeah, so you've listened to all our guests on Zoom. Reggie Rockton came through and all that. Before we go, our takeaways.
Kwame, interesting listening to all the folks who were involved with the genre. There's something I wanted clarification on. I mentioned earlier that I chanced upon a post of yours where you engaged some folks on the originator and co-originator and whatnot. But in that discussion, you also made a point about the difference between Hiplife and hip-hop. You said in that post that as far as you were concerned, if the rap had a high life instrumentation, that is what you classify as hip life. And if the rap had a hip hop instrumentation, that cannot be classified as hip life. Do you still maintain that?
Okay, so I acknowledged that. So from the outset, there was a dual conception of hip life, because at the point in time, some of them, including Reggie Rockstone, they were doing rap over hip hop beats, and they called it hip life. At another point in time, they were doing rap over high life instrumentation, and still they called it hip life. And I was saying that even though we called all these forms of music hip life, I said in that comment that I thought the one with hip life or high life instrumentation sounded more hip life to me.
Exactly.
Yes, than the ones that had hip hop beats. Because to me, if you rap with a hip hop instrumentation, it's still hip hop, regardless of whether it's in French or it's in
French or whatever.
So that was my argument. But from the beginning, the conception was that either of them qualified to be hip life. Yes.
Yeah. So you still maintain that?
Yeah. I'm not discounting the fact that those songs were hip life, but I'm saying if I'm to choose between the two concepts, I will go for the one with high life instrumentation.
So I want to know from Beat and Joe what they think about that.
I have very polarizing comments about this because from a technical perspective, right, the instrumentation would have to do with rhythm as well as melody. Okay, so there are certain, I've heard arguments where people say, oh, it's high life because we have that clave or that bell pattern. Which I think is very arbitrary and a little too simplistic for my liking. So in my book, I would consider hip life anything that manages to capture the Ghanaian experience, informed specifically by high life, but put forth or presented in a manner that is typical of hip hop. Okay, I know it's not very because it's some way.
It's very complicated.
Hip hop, any hip hop beat you can think about is based on a 4/4 pattern. Right. You can do the bell pattern to 4/4. Reggae is also based on a 4/4 pattern. The only thing is, all 4 patterns aren't expressed. Only 3 parts. Sorry,
the offbeat, the one drop.
Not all 4 beats are expressed. Only 3 beats are expressed. True. And 1 beat is left to your imagination. That's why, reggae has a certain feel.
Yeah.
And, something about it. People say, it's a spiritual thing. And if they have some bokad, I say no. But basically, what I'm trying to say is some of these things are not as linear as we
think, or make it look
as
like.
we think.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, there have been songs where people, for instance, may have explored the possibilities of Agbaja.
So
which like
what
6/8 time, right? 6/8 time, but they attack it with an approach of a 4/4 to give it that unmistakable hip hop cadence.
And cassetted it with Adrianebu.
Exactly.
So would you therefore say that you would classify what we are discussing, all of it, as hip life? Or you would still make the distinction of the rap being in English over a hip hop beat
Can I come in?
Uncle Ken, I think
AB wants to come in, join this conversation.
He wants to join this conversation.
Yes, just before AB comes in. Okay, quickly before AB
my
comes
big man
in.
AB comes in. Lovely submission as always, and of course I always love to hear JQ speak. But I think let's even reassess what hip hop is. Okay, from an African American perspective, it was a presentation, an encapsulation of the African American experience, specifically in New York, that was felt in other areas, that happened at a particular point in time. So hip hop culture has to do with DJing, it has to do with MCing, the freestyle battle, and all that stuff. All the elements that came together to define what we know from the African American perspective of what hip hop culture is can still be traced back to Africa.
Sure.
Really and truly. The b-boy, the dance, is capoeira. It started in Africa. It was taken by navigators and then slaves to Brazil and certain parts of South America, right? The only thing that I guess would be unique in a sense would have been the turntablism, because the art of graffiti and all those things, you can trace it here. The art of even the battle.
This is talking too much. Answer my question.
You asked him a question, so I don't know. Has he answered?
No,
not yet.
No, but AB said, okay, you know what? Let AB land.
Can we find out if AB can
answer my question?
Can give a different answer?
No, I'm going to answer your question.
We'll give a different answer. Okay, so let me go to AB for him to respond to this and then conclude for us, and then we go to Jeff Quay, then we come in here quickly, and then we wrap up. Okay, so AB, your explanation to Uncle Ken's question, or your answer to his question, and then you wrap up for us. Hello, AB. Hello. Okay. Also, it was Jeff. Okay, so JQ.
Yeah, sorry. I had the mic off. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. So let me try and be really, really quick with this. One, the submission about hip hop and its origins in America is in Africa is absolutely right. From its visual representation to everything about it. But what you need to understand is that it was a seed which only germinated in America at that time. It was a seed taken from Africa, planted in America, germinated in America at a specific time in New York because of poverty. The reason why hip hop comes out of poverty is because in order for black people to create music at that time, if you were a poor kid in the ghettos, you couldn't go and buy instruments. And that was the only way you could make music. And the only other way was to take other music that other people had made and spin it and spin the loops and then just do your stuff on it. That's how hip hop was born. Okay. Now, the other thing is you need to understand that Hiplife and hip hop isn't really specifically about the music. Hiplife represents everything that was happening in Ghana. There were people doing like reggae, dancehall, and all of that. It was all classed under Hiplife. So you can't just class just a specific, type of music as Hiplife. It was a cultural expression by a generation that had new ideas, new feelings about music, and they expressed it in so many different ways. So Hiplife really isn't just a musical expression.
Okay.
It's a cultural expression.
On its own. That's well understood.
The same with hip hop. So you need to understand that, yes, rap music and the rapping and all, but there were guys who were chatting in general.
Okay.
I mean, he put out
wow, the network.
Around that time, it was Hiplife. I mean, there's so many things going on. Reggae dancehall, so you can't class just the rap thing under Hiplife.
Okay.
Encapsulated.
Okay, thank you.
Because it has an element of everything in it. It has high life, it has reggae, it has the R&B singing, it has rap, it has everything in it.
Okay, thank you, AB.
So if you want to know a real Hiplife song, that is the song.
Great one there. Let me quickly go to JQ. JQ, please, if you can do this under 1.5 minutes for me, I'll be very, very glad. Because the news people are already in here. And JQ, yes, your final word, sir.
quickly before my final words, like just as AB said, Hiplife is not just rap. Hiplife, under the Hiplife umbrella, we have rap artists, we have people who are singing, Dead Body and Co. were singing. We have people who are doing like what we call dancehall, like raga, like Ronnie Coaches, Terry Bonchaka, Bandana, and Co. So you can't really look at rap as just like, the face of Hiplife. In any case, the beat aspect that he's talking about, when we started Hiplife, most of the people, when they come to studio, they had already written their songs to hip-hop beats. When the artist comes to you, I wrote this song to this guy. So that's why when you hear songs like Rana Sandler, you can hear Dangerous, because that's what VIP used. So that was how we started. But as we grow in the field, we had to bring it home. So that is where the guitars, the yapon senses. So it's all Hiplife. It's just an experience. To end, I want to end by one thing that Beatman said. Moving forward, it's like everything is like scattered all over the place. There's no policy. There is nothing like, directing the industry. Like everybody is doing what they want. Individuals from their own pocket trying to fund Hiplife. Now artists are the one pushing themselves. So it's like everything is scattered. So if some way, somehow, like there will be some type of policy either from Musica or from the creative arts or from the government, I think it will go a long way to bring all stakeholders, media, artists, and everybody together. Then we can define the path of our music today, whether we want to call it Hiplife or we want to call it Afrobeats. Then we know we are going somewhere, because Nigeria and all these people, that's the only reason why they got to where they are. We can't leave things anyhow and not regulated to produce something. So I mean, that's all I have to say.
I love this. Thanks so much, JQ and Abraham Ohinijan. Now, Joe Fraser, let me come to you. There is a new song out already. Before I come to Beats finally, Joe, there is a new song out already, sure. And how's it doing?
Oh yeah, not bad at all. I mean, people really love it. People have missed this kind of rhymes, the punches and other stuff, and people really mix Joe Fraser. He's doing so well. It's giving me a lot of energy to, continue back to back. Yes, and I'm promising the fans that I'm here to stay.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, I'm here to stay.
You're not going anywhere. No. And the song is already on the streaming platforms.
Sure.
It's doing so
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's called After Church, featuring
Church.
King Paluta King.
Yes.
Wonderful.
The king himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody want to shout?
Yes. I would like to say something little about. Okay. Yes. I think that talking about this Hiplife thing, we all have a role to play.
Sure.
Yes, the media houses, the musicians, the authorities. We have to let this sink into the ears of ordinary Ghanaians.
Great.
We have to make sure we bring these things back. Yes. So,
awesome.
Yes, let's make a lot of noise about this. Yes, definitely. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to
we will sail through.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Beat Menace. Medakuku, 1 minute. I beg.
Mr. Abraham did conclude the statement I was making earlier on.
Yeah.
The reason I actually went to or started by dissecting the entire definition of what hip hop was to say exactly what he said, because I felt it was a cultural movement. I mean, I at some point was like a really young kid, experiencing Reggie's music, talking drums, for the first time, and it was the sound of rebellion at the time, if you think about it, because I think even the media space just before that was still pretty much what it was. You just had GBC, and then when you had a private radio station, so we had a number of catalysts that sort of happened at a point in time that sort of amplified that movement.
Okay.
So I don't think, personally, in my opinion, I think the classification of it or restricting it to rap, from a very
it's a limiting,
Western lens is very limiting. It's
Great.
too limiting.
Wow.
You understand? Because if you take even the idiom of what high life is, we have very simplistic definitions of it. But if you break it down to its various components, you'd realize that you have a wide spectrum of what defines high life music.
Great.
And once you take that experience and you add elements of hip hop to it, the possibilities are near endless. So I think we should be a lot more open minded.
And I think that once it relates to our culture and there is hip in it,
that's it.
It's Hiplife.
Okay, thank you so much, Beats Menace. Big thank you to Abraham Ohinijan, Jeff Quaid, JQ, Reggie Rockstone, to you, Uncle Ken, and everybody that joined in the conversation today right here on Joy 99.7 FM. It's been Showbiz A to Z here. My name is Kwame Dadzie, show brought to you by MTN. Everywhere you go, Superstar Multi-Food Drink. Produced by Philip Nye, assisted by Anita Te, aka Uma Pioe. We had Olivier found on social media as well, and DJ Ubete behind the console. My name is Kwame Dadzie. I'm leaving you in the hands of Big Joe Fraser after church.